to another album ranking here on Metal Band's Chronicles. And today, we're going to dive deep into the majestic dark forest of Norway for this album ranking video. That's right, we're going to talk about the band, the legendary Norwegian black metal band from the second wave, Emperor. And we're going to talk about there's 4 studio albums. We're going to find out which one I like the least and which one I like the best. The only one we're not going to include in this is the Wrath of the Tyrant demo and the Emperor EPs, since technically they're not full-length studio albums. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into this darkness. Coming in at number 4, in last place. And I gotta be honest, ranking these wasn't easy at all, especially when it comes to the 3 albums that come before this. Of course, I pretty much already gave it away. Coming in at number 4, Prometheus, The Discipline of Fire and Demise. Yes, this comes in at number 4. All in all, it's a good album. My gripe is, it doesn't sound like an Emperor album. It sounds more like where, you would kind of see Izam going into the future, with the more progressive, modern elements. And that's pretty much what this album is. Now, there is amazing tracks on this freaking album, like the opening track, The Eruption. Easily the best track on this album. Very majestic sounding. Amazing vocals, amazing guitar work by Samuth and Isham. Of course, Trim does some amazing drumming too. All in all, it's a decent album, still. You got other standout tracks on here like Depraved, The Prophet, He Who Sought the Fire, to name a few that are great tracks on this album. But to me, it comes in at number 4 due to it being a bit more modern sounding. Let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3. Sometimes you gotta be a bit controversial with your rankings. But my number 3, and this was very hard to do with these next 3 albums, because each of these albums could easily be a number 1. But you know what? We gotta rank them. And I'll tell you what, my number 3 is the debut album, In the Night Side Eclipse. Now, to me, this is a freaking majestic black metal masterpiece. But you know what? It's my number 3. Now, it could definitely change in the future, but for now, it's my number 3. And there's no weak tracks on this freaking album. Like, you got the intro to Infinity and Thoughts to open up this great album. Epic stuff. The Burning Shadows of Silence, and you got the majestic masterpiece, Cosmic Keys to My Creation and Times, just epic stuff. You got other great tracks on here like the majesty of the night sky. You know, I am the Black Wizard, one of my all-time favorite Emperor tracks. You know, but you know what? It's got to be number 3. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2. And I'll tell you what my number 2 originally was my number 1. But I had to really deep think which album impacts me a little more over this album. So coming in at number 2 is Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk from 1997. I'm telling you what, this is a freaking masterpiece. You even get a writing credit on here from Euronymous, obviously before he was murdered. You know, on the track Ye and Trans Imperium, which is a brilliant freaking track, one of the best tracks on here. You know, you got other great tracks on here like Thus Spake the Night Spirit. Epic stuff. You know, The Loss and the Curse of Reverence, another brilliant track. There's not a bad track on here. You know, what can I say? It's a freaking masterpiece of black metal, you know. And you can already pretty much already figure out what number 1 is. So right now we're just going to go straight to number 1. We have reached the end through this dark, mystical path in this dark, majestic forest to the number 1 album by Emperor. Now, you pretty much know what it is, and of course it's 1999's third studio album, 9 Equilibrium. Now, a lot of people would not put this album at number 1. But for me, it's a majestic masterpiece. To me, it's equally as good as the first 2 albums, in my opinion. You know, of course a lot of people are going to put In the Night Side Eclipse or Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk at number 1. One of those albums. But you know what, this is my number 1. It has sentimental value to me. It was the very first Emperor album I did hear. Way back in 1999, not too long after, you know, this album came out. And my goodness, the thing notably different about this album is Isham's vocals. He adds in some high-pitched Halford-like screams in a few sections. The guitar work on here is even more majestic. To me, it's probably Emperor's best guitar work, to be honest. Samuth and Isham are playing great riffs on this thing. You know, my God. Let's look at the album real quick before we end this. You know. So, my God. Curse you all men. What a killer beginning to this. You know. And it continues on with Decrystallizing Reason. You know, an elegy of Icarus. You know, a lot of people don't like that track. I think it's very majestic. You know, The Source of Icon E. That's the freaking track, man. Like, the middle section, man. He goes into this really high Halford-like scream. which is freaking amazing. You know, you got other great tracks on here too, like The Warriors of Modern Death, you know, and the epic dark closer, The Blindness of Subsequent Seers, to end this masterpiece of an album. Yeah, you know, I believe Metal Archives gave this album a low ranking. You know, this album did get mixed reviews. I think people need to go back and re-listen to Non-Equilibrium again, because it's a masterpiece, just like the first two albums. And that's my number one. So let's go back over this real quick before we end this video. So coming in at number 4, Prometheus, The Discipline of Fire and Demise. My number 4. My number 3, obviously controversial, In the Night Side Eclipse. My number 2, Anthems at the Welkin at Dusk. Or Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. My voice is getting tired, man. And coming in at number 1, Non-Equilibrium. Anyways, all tremendous albums. You know, there's a reason why Ishan did not continue on with another Emperor album. He didn't want to ruin the legacy of Emperor. You know, yeah, now and then they might play some live shows, but they will never do another studio album, and I can respect that. And notably, before ending this video, I should mention, you know, Emperor is way different than the other Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas sounding symphonic metal bands. There's more depth and darkness and a majestic atmosphere to Emperor's music that makes Emperor stand out from the other symphonic black metal bands. Anyways, that's it for this album ranking. Anyways, subscribe if you enjoy this video, and check out Damage Incorporated also over on YouTube. Keep it metal.